Hi, I'm Sarah Taylor, and in this video I'm going to introduce you to the Accelerated Performance System and show you how you can become extraordinary in business, health and life. Now, I know you're a busy person and I appreciate you, so let me reassure you, you can't buy anything today. I will not waste your time, I will give you actionable steps, and I will offer you the next step with me for those that want to take it. Right, so let's get into it. Firstly, what is the Accelerated Performance System? Well, if you're a busy small business owner, entrepreneur, or high-level corporate employee who is looking to perform at their best, get more done in less time, and create time to enjoy more of the things you love, then this presentation is for you. This system is founded upon 3 core pillars of excellence, and those are magnetic purpose, accelerated productivity, and effortless performance. Now, because of this system, I have been lucky enough to rise to the highest executive level and become recognised as a highly successful female leader and authority in the still very male-dominated industries of IT and finance. I've been able to transform myself from being obese at age 40 and go on to become 19 times world bodybuilding champion at the age of 50. I've been able to pull myself out of depression, unaided and unmedicated, and sustain peak performance in one of the world's toughest sports, while simultaneously excelling in my corporate career, coaching clients to their own competitions or weight loss transformations, running webinars and workshops, and becoming an international speaker. I've become an industry mentor to women in STEM industries who aspire to leadership roles. But it wasn't always this way. And the development of this system has come about over 10 years or so, has cost tens of thousands of my own money, thousands upon thousands of hours of research, study, experimentation, trial and failure. Now you see, at age 40, I was newly single, I'd just moved into a tiny little apartment that was all I could afford. And I was sitting on my beaten up 8-year-old couch, surveying the wreckage of my life. I owned a fridge, a washing machine, a bed, and my TV was propped on a cardboard box. I was feeling completely lost, bewildered, alone and directionless. And this wasn't what I thought life would be like at 40. Now, having always loved high altitude trekking, I set a goal to climb the highest mountain in South America, and I went for a fitness assessment to see if I could do it. What a disaster. At just 160 centimetres, I weighed 78 kilos and I was classified as obese. What the hell? I was active and sporting, I cycled everywhere and I played tennis 4 times a week. How on earth had it got to this? How can I not be the fit chick? My already shaky self-confidence was utterly shattered. I had no idea who I was. I cried a lot. Life just wasn't supposed to be like this. I needed to be the fit chick again. My entire sense of identity revolved around that concept. But crying wasn't going to fix it, so I decided things had to change. But what should I do? I've never dieted in my life. I love food too much. And Googling the answer produced millions of confusing, conflicting answers. And I knew short-term yo-yo diets set people up for failure. So I needed something different, something that allowed me to have my lifestyle and my food. So I simply started paying attention. I paid attention to the physical sensations and my emotions in food-related situations. Food that made me feel light or energetic, I ate more of. Foods that made me fat or bloated or sluggish or tired or sleepy, I ate less of. I paid attention to what times of day my energy was better or worse, and what times of day I got hungry. And I hit the gym in a big way every day. And 9 months later, when I successfully climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, I'd lost 25 kilos without dieting. Now, at the time, the social circles I hung out in were all big on going out to bars, clubs and restaurants. This is how I'd set up my life the whole time I'd been in Australia. It was how I created a social life when I didn't know anyone. But now there was a huge conflict between my new healthy lifestyle and my old lifestyle. And it was causing friction and jealousies to surface. And then at a New Year gathering, it all came crashing down, when the tensions that had been building exploded into an ugly confrontation, and in a blinding instant it became clear that the people I'd been hanging around with for so long could not and did not support me or my new way of being. And because my new non-negotiable value was now health, I realised that if I wanted my new ways of being to stick, so I didn't relapse into old habits, I had to make a very tough call. I needed to ensure that the environment I was in supported my values and goals and would set me up for success. and that meant separating myself from my entire social circle. Now, within a few short weeks after that, and a number of other compoundingly stressful and emotional events have unfolded bizarrely at the same time, and now with no support network to rely on, I lapsed into a deep depression. Once again, overwhelmed, lost, and feeling very alone, not knowing who or how to reach out and ask for help, I searched for something solid to cling to. And that thing, ironically, was the thing that kind of landed me in the mess in the first place, which was my fitness. But I was trying to make it work. I Googled workouts and training programs. I read fitness magazines, men's and women's. But the big problem was that there was so much confusing and conflicting advice. And because I had no particular goal or direction, I had no idea to organize this information. And I did not have the skills or tools, knowledge or structure to make any kind of progress. And it became incredibly frustrating, and I was on the verge of giving up entirely. Now, out of desperation, I decided to do the only thing that I could think of, and that was to hire a personal trainer. And what a revelation. Within just a few short weeks, I was even fitter and in even better shape than when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Why on earth had it taken me so long trying to struggle along on my own and not get help? I realised you can get better results faster by working with someone who knows what they're doing, has a structured method, and can support and guide you to your goal. Now, with the newfound zest of life, the positive effects of my new exciting training flowed into other areas of my life. I got a brand new job, I got a nice new apartment, and on a whim, I decided to do a photo shoot for my 42nd birthday to reward myself for not quitting. And a throwaway comment by the photographer wondering if I was doing the show led to the snap decision to compete in a bodybuilding competition, which I won, state champion at my first show. It was just awesome. But life had other ideas once again. In just a few short weeks after the show, I was under the knife for the first of both shoulder reconstructions, and then a hellish few months followed when the rest of my body gradually fell apart. I had torn tendons in all limbs, frayed cartilage in both knees and hips, indications of osteoarthritis in both hips. And the doctors ordered me to stop every kind of activity, preferably forever, or double hip surgery would be next. I was crushed. Everything had to stop, and I literally needed to rebuild my body from the ground up. Now, at this point, two things happened. My trainer, risking his entire professional reputation on a broken down 43-year-old, told me he would make me world champion. His exact words were, "#1 in the world, baby." And a colleague who was a triple Hawaiian Ironman told me if I wanted to stay connected to my sport, but I couldn't do my sport, I should become a student of my sport. I took this on board, and I set about becoming a student of the sport to try and gain the respect of the sport and prove that my win wasn't a fluke. And here's what I did. So I was already running a blog of my personal journey. So I set up 2 more blogs for 2 of the organisations. I started volunteering at shows, helping out backstage, helping competitors. I became an in-demand show photographer. I created a digital female targeted bodybuilding magazine and released 14 editions in just 12 months. It was supposed to be 6 editions, because I know everything about running a magazine. I was doing everything: the sales, the marketing, the promoting, managing an outsourcing team. I researched and studied nutrition and exercise endlessly, gaining several coaching qualifications along the way. Now, the sticky note methodology I used at work seemed to naturally translate to home, and soon my walls at home were covered in sticky notes, which was all of my things to do. There were millions of them. I was working a full-time job plus 20 to 30 hours outside of that job. I spent all my money on the magazine and freelancers and show entries, and I'd sit up to 2 or 3 in the morning processing photographs just so I could get them out on social media first for likes. See, the trouble was, since separating from my social circle, I hadn't allowed myself to properly grieve for the loss of the emotional connection and meaningful relationships. And I was overcompensating by seeking validation from external sources rather than trusting my internal personal compass. In my need to be needed, I couldn't say no. And I was trying to do everything myself. And very soon the stress of meeting self-imposed deadlines were piling up and piling up. Sleep became a thing of the past. I was exhausted all the time. I required up to 6 micronaps a day just to get through the day. Physical stress, emotional stress, and more importantly, financial stress, all piled up. Until one day my body literally just stopped and I just couldn't get out of bed. Eventually, I managed to get to the doctor for some blood tests, and it revealed I totally burnt out my hormonal system and crashed my thyroid system. And I was like, what the hell? This was getting incredibly frustrating. You see, I had the lifestyle habits to ensure I always ate high quality, nutritionally valuable foods to fuel myself properly for this workload. I never resorted to takeaways or grab and go foods or convenience foods or ready meals, no matter how busy I was. I had the routines in place to ensure that I always did my exercise. I never skipped a workout. I had the workplace boundaries and productivity hacks in place to ensure that I always left work at 5 on the dot. And I rigidly enforced those boundaries to protect my time, and everybody around me was trained. I had the structures and processes to ensure my time and productivity was maximised, and in short, I completely set up my environment to support success. But there was something missing, something I wasn't quite getting. And I realised that although I'd made health my number one priority, I was actually putting everyone else's needs before my own. And what I needed to do was look after myself first. Self-care. On a flight, there's a reason that the safety procedure says put your own oxygen mask on first before assisting others. So that's exactly what I did. I implemented self-care routines such as daily meditation. I prioritised sleep and stress mastery routines and habits. I studied the habits of high-performance people and mastered their productivity and performance hacks. And I optimised my training to gain maximum results from minimum time in the gym. Get in, get it done, and get out. I restepped everything I was doing, and if it wasn't genuinely aligned with my unconscious emotional values and needs, I cut it out. And the results were amazing. At 45, I went to the US and Canada. In the space of just 3 weeks, I won 11 out of 11 world amateur titles. By the age of 48, I'd added another 5 professional world titles. And in 2019, at the age of 50, I stepped back on stage after 2 years away and won 3 more professional titles, just like that. In 2017, I was working on a high-profile flagship project, and I started in one role, then organically just seemed to flow into leading a team of 9, and then replacing another 2 people on the project as well. All of a sudden, I was running 4 roles, brought a critical project in, on time, 250k under budget, whilst coaching 10 clients to their own competitions and embarking on an 11-month, 3-country, 3 professional world title winning season. Excuse me. And in 2018, after joining company just as a BA, a huge staff bailout left a huge structural void, and I completely backed my skills and knowledge of 25 years in the industry and demanded to be made the COO and CTO, just because one of them's not enough. And within 4 weeks, I completely transformed it from a dysfunctional company to 450% performance improvement. And 10 months later, I have not lost a single member of staff despite 2 periods of nobody being paid. Now, I estimate I have saved the company approximately $10 million by eliminating staff turnover. And it has since landed a $3 million capital raise and a game-changing client. And I've spoken about my journey at events in 4 countries. I'm beginning to receive regular invites into industry and leadership panels, submit talks to C-level summits, and facilitate workshops for annual IT conference. And here's what surprised me the most. I'm in complete control, and it's easy. It's kind of like a dream come true. It's like I found the bonus level to life. And, who'd have thought an ordinary, formerly obese 40-year-old who beat depression and a complete physical breakdown at 43 could go on to become 19 times world champion in the toughest sport in the world at age 50? Who'd have thought that somebody who was emotionally and physically burnt themselves out 3 times could become effortlessly unstoppable, juggling an executive-level corporate career, speaking engagements, coaching and mentoring commitments, all whilst rising to be the best in the world at one of the toughest sports in the world. Now, throughout the whole journey, the one thing that has enabled all of this to happen has been the consistency, the boundaries, the health and productivity habits that I implemented. I started finding that people were asking me how I could always go home at 5 o'clock on the dot and not work weekends and never seem to be stressed no matter how busy a project got. I started finding that people were asking me how I found the time to train, compete, not skip meals, manage teams, entire programs of work, coach people to their own weight loss transformations, and speak internationally, and be an industry leader and mentor to graduates and women in STEM industries. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, I seem to have found the keys to a bonus level. And I've become this powerful, purposeful, effective, and efficient person. I consider myself to be unstoppable. Now, the knowledge I have gained is just leaking out of me, and I have to help others now. And this is why I've created the 13-week accelerated performance system. Now, in under 13 minutes, I helped a CEO and CFO as a start-off prioritize their projects, identifying which to work and which to ditch. In under 2 hours, I helped the same CEO pull out a 6-month roadmap, identifying his bottlenecks, resource gaps, expected staffing requirements, and pull out a report quantifying many key productivity metrics he had no idea he could attain from his back-end systems. He was able to land a significant client, helping them raise over $1 million. In a single 3-hour deep dive, I was able to help the owner of an online hardware business wrangle his 19 out-of-control projects into a streamlined pipeline, identify his key staffing requirements and resource gaps, and how he could mitigate risk with existing resources. Now, from a health perspective, I was able to improve his sleep, shorten his work hours, and show him how to always have suitable hand on time to ensure he fueled himself correctly for his workload. And less than 6 months later, he's been able to create the time and growth to support the employment of 2 additional key staff members who I identified. Now, the big problem I see and hear from working and talking to so many people who are trying to juggle many roles and responsibilities in their business and life is that they have not found the right structure that works for them. So they feel confused, frustrated, resentful even, that their business or work seems to be controlling them and their life. And, these are smart people, and here are some of the mistakes that I see them making over again. They have the incorrect strategies and actions. They focus on too many things and they try to do it all themselves. They may have the incorrect thinking or self-sabotage patterns and doubt. They might not have the right mentors. They may have mentors, but you can have too much of a good thing, especially if those mentors don't agree. It's like Googling the symptoms of an illness or how to lose weight. Everyone has an opinion, and often they don't quite match, and it becomes incredibly confusing. Often they don't set up their environment to support them, and this is the hardest lesson many people have to learn. See, if you genuinely want to go in a new direction that your network doesn't appear to understand, the internal conflict between your new self and your old ways can literally tear you apart. I know how it feels. I've been there, and the wheels came off. But by working with someone who has the right tools, structures, processes that can be applied to your goals and direction, you can exponentially accelerate your performance, creating success and freedom. And that is why I have created the Accelerated Performance System. So let's go through it in a bit more detail. The first step is having a magnetic purpose. The number one regret of the dying is, I wish I had the courage to live true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Now, for me, I was kind of lost and drifting until I realised that my core being and identity was tied into being the fit chick. And by aligning my conscious emotional desire with my subconscious desire, I was instantly spurred into massive and, more importantly, sustainable action. Next, we dig into the 5 whys. Firstly, we have to have a deep dive into where you are right now, where you want to get to, and why you want this change or this transformation. We look under the lid, we delve into who you really are and uncover those hidden challenges, thoughts and beliefs that have held you back from achieving the health, wealth and happiness you desire. We start by investigating your why. As Simon Sinek said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And I help you get really clear on your purpose, your vision and mission, and we pave your path by creating a compelling roadmap. And almost immediately you will find the daily fog clears and you will wake inspired to start your day before the morning alarm. The third part of the first step is your company and personal promises, which is your what. There are 8 phases of growth to a company, and at each stage you have to identify a promise showing what you would deliver at that stage to the end customer. And these promises are aligned to your why. Once we've done that, we set up some conditions of success. It's all well and good having a why and a what, but how do you know when you've got there? You have to have a condition of success that is tangible, measurable, and is aligned to your ultimate outcome. Now, you may have started a business because you thought it was a way to financial time freedom, or just because you hated working for somebody else. Now, you may have tried setting goals before and they didn't work for you. But if you're struggling or didn't achieve your goal, it's probably because you didn't dig deep enough into finding the real underlying reasons for why you wanted it. So you're out of conscious, emotional and subconscious alignment with your true inner desire. resulting in incorrectly stated outcome. Now, the second pillar is accelerated productivity. See, 75% of doctors' visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints. Now, ongoing chronic stress can cause or exacerbate mental health problems, depression, anxiety, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure and stroke. Mental health issues cost businesses $11 billion a year, either through sick leave or loss of productivity due to presenteeism. And research shows that working more than 48 hours a week is associated with significant declines in productivity, more mistakes, mental health problems, anxiety and depression. And entrepreneurs and small business owners have a 30% higher risk of suffering from these conditions. So if you do this program, you will learn how to regain control of your time, get more done in less time, and set up your working environment for success. So the first part to this is your wealth dynamics profile. We've done the why and the what, but now we need to identify the who. Who are you in a work or business context? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And what are the implications as you try to scale up? Do you know exactly who you need to bring on board to help you? That's what the wealth dynamics profile will tell you. First, we work through it from a personal perspective, and then from the perspective of building high-performing teams, and finally how to create a high-performing company. The next part is personal Kanban. This is how you manage your to-do list. If you're like many busy people, it could be as long as your arm and getting long by the day. So how do you manage it? Do you lie awake at night with a list of things to do churning through your brain? You know, there are lots of to-do list apps and tools out there, but the one thing that works for me and allows me to juggle up to 8 roles as COO and CTO, plus my multiple personal projects, sticky notes. Sticky notes are my sanity check, and this step, when you learn personal Kanban, you will learn how sticky notes can save your life too. Unbreakable boundaries and productivity hacks is the next part. And this is where you'll learn my go-to strategies that train everybody around me into my way of being. With these structures, in the space of 2 hours, I was able to sit down with Scott, prioritize his product pipeline, identify the projects that were not commercially viable and should be shelved, and pull out a 6-month roadmap, identify his bottlenecks, resource gaps, expected staffing requirements, and pull out a report identifying many of the key productivity metrics he had no idea he could obtain from his back-end systems. These are the tools that I used to transform my company within 3 weeks, increasing productivity by 450%, throughput by 5 times, and system quality by 50%. And I've been able to sustain it for the last 10 months. I use the Wealth Dynamic Profiling system to build my company into a high-performing team and a high-performing company, pretty much from scratch. Now, some of you may be thinking that you don't have time to do all this stuff. You're already flat out. You've done profiling before, and you've got systems and apps to manage your workload, and it's never worked. But your brain is hardwired to remember stuff that doesn't get done or is not visible, and computers can be turned off, and that triggers your brain to hang on to things and keep reminding you of them, usually at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, this section is designed to create time and space. It's designed to get complete clarity of direction and priorities by ensuring that your to-do list is always visible and you don't suffer the Zeigarnik effect. Now, this profile, the Wealth Dynamics profile, is specifically designed within the context of achieving high-performing teams and high-growth companies. Now, the third pillar of this program is effortless performance. See, 45% of your behaviours are unconscious habits, and this section is designed to shine a light and awareness onto these habits and find out why or what might be sabotaging your efforts to stay on track with your health when life gets busy. Now, if you don't do this, you'll continue to sleepwalk through a zombie-like existence of subnormal health, believing that it's totally normal. And it's a vicious cycle. You're working so much that you forget to eat right or go to bed on time, so you wake up late, which puts you behind, so you work late again and wake up in an even greater deficit. And soon you're burned out and you want to avoid working altogether. Yeah, I know, I've been there. In this step, we help you tune into your body talk. We identify your unique body blueprint and implement techniques to combat low levels of well-being, disengagement, fatigue, and poor nutrition, and boost your performance. Now, if you do this, you will gain knowledge of how to construct ideal meals quickly and easily, always be fueled appropriately for whatever your day throws at you, and embed skills that will boost your productivity, create time, and save you money. Now, in this first final step, we build on the momentum gained from the previous 2 steps and help you rediscover the incredible energy that your body was designed to help. You can't look after your loved ones and be there for everyone else or do the right thing at the right time in your business if you're constantly too exhausted or unable to think clearly enough to make tough decisions. So now that you have the time created from the previous section to step away from your business or gain some perspective and objectivity, it's time to focus on yourself as the number 1 priority. And the 3 elements to this phase are building successful habits, creating a successful environment, and creating a successful mindset. So we work heavily on self-care. We teach you habits and skills you need to eat the appropriate foods for your workload, how to recover, stress less, sleep more, and set up your personal environment to support your success, all of which will give you the keys to endless, sustainable, and vibrant energy. And here's some of the results. I worked with Masha, who was a travelling sales rep, and she felt she had no control over her life. She was grabbing pre-packaged foods to eat in her car between meetings. She was stressed with being in traffic constantly and time crunched trying to fit in enough meetings to meet her sales targets. So I taught her food planning, shopping and preparation strategies, and we worked on setting boundaries, taking back her power and control over her time by planning her road trips more effectively and cutting back in order to be more productive. And after 12 weeks, she was more relaxed, less cranky with her partner, who I was actually always working with, so I had it straight from the horse's mouth. She was doing less time on the road, but with more focus and success. And she was eating better and always either had something on hand or knew what smarter choices she could make in an emergency. And this part was instrumental in my own transformation. And now I'm just so resilient. I consider myself to be bulletproof. I just don't get sick. Now you might be thinking, you want me time to spend shopping and planning food or cooking for hours. But you see, here's the thing. Most people spend more time planning their Friday night beers than how to fuel themselves for their weekly workload. And this step will show you how just 15 minutes of planning can not only cut your shopping time by hours, but also cut down the time you spend cooking by hours. And it can even save you tens of thousands of dollars a year by not having to resort to takeouts, ready-made meals or convenience foods. Imagine what you could do with $10,000. So now let's go into the path in greater detail. So on week 1, we go through the 8 promises and the 5 whys. In week 2, we then pull out the conditions of success and do a powerful strategic visioning. In week 3, we do your wealth dynamics profile and team profiling for a business and personal perspective. In week 4, we use that wealth dynamics profile to identify any resource gaps, bottlenecks, and also talk to you about outsourcing and leveraging. In week 5, we create a team culture. And in week 6, we go through time, efficiency, productivity, protection, and your sphere of control. In week 7, we go through personal Kanban and cadence. And week 8, we start on the self-care. We start with mindful eating. In week 9, we teach you how to eat the rainbow and set up your environment for success. In week 10, we go through eating protein at every meal, eating more vegetables, and I teach you this hand-sized portion guide so you always know the right amount of food to eat for you. In week 11, we go through smarter carbs and healthy fats. And week 12, we focus on stress and sleep recovery and creating routines. In week 13, we concentrate on life and ongoing management skills such as planning, time-saving shopping, and food prep. Now, what you gain out of this is the skills and tools required to master time and stress, improve sleep, productivity, performance, and decision-making. You'll gain complete control of your working situation and be able to create time for the things you'd rather be doing. You'll be able to identify the strengths and weaknesses of your staff members and adjust their roles to play to their strengths, resulting in happier, more engaged, more productive, and more effective employees and improved productivity. You could save hundreds of thousands of dollars due to reduced loss of IP, reduced cost of staff turnover. And you'll gain a deep understanding of yourself, your habits, how to use food as a tool with purpose to achieve a goal. And you could save $10,000 or more by a year by not getting convenience foods and only shopping for and preparing the food you actually need. Now imagine what you could do with that money. You'll condense 10 years of my learnings and failings into weeks of taking action based on just what works. Now, what would that be worth for you? Now, what if you don't change? Where will you be in 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? How will your health be then? What preventable lifestyle disease might you be suffering and the medical bills that come along with it? How would that affect your family, your happiness and your quality of life? Now, will you wake up suddenly one day and realise you don't even relate to your kids because they've grown up and you've missed out on it because you're always too busy working? Will you be a heart attack, depression or burnout statistic? And those are frightening as they are. What would that be worth for you? Now, if you want to talk more about the programme and options I have, book a call with me to talk more, and I can show you how we can work together to make this happen for you fast.